find it odd that a person's view on vaccination is being equated to their political alignment, especially when the side that is accused of being anti-vaccines voted for the administration that funded the creation of these vaccines. How is this a left versus right thing when there are still so many people on the left who haven't gotten the vaccine? So what does that make them? The reason I haven't gotten vaccinated yet is because I'm waiting for Novavax. I like the idea behind it. It's less experimental, and chances are the mRNA vaccines are perfectly fine and may continue to be perfectly fine 10, 20 years from now. And you could ask, why don't I get both, the mRNA and then Novavax later, like as a booster? Well, there aren't any studies on how any of these vaccines will perform in conjunction with one another. In all likelihood, it's fine to mix and match. But in all likelihood, it's probably also fine for someone like myself to contract the virus and get immunized the old-fashioned way. I'm in my early 40s with no comorbidities. I'd probably make a different decision if I had comorbidities. To anyone who thinks that I am endangering others, let me remind you that vaccinated people can and do carry the virus and shed the virus, and they may even be super spreaders because they're walking around thinking they're immune while potentially harboring lots of virus without symptoms. And they may be taking less precautions because they think they're immune. So I don't buy the argument that I'm being selfish because I didn't get vaccinated. I am as much a danger to you as someone who is fully vaccinated. If vaccinated people weren't spreading the disease, then Israel shouldn't be experiencing another wave because most of their population is fully vaccinated. Waning immunity is another reason why I don't want to get either of the mRNA vaccines. I don't get the flu shot every year, so why would I get the mRNA shot every year, which has worse side effects? And if this Israeli study is anything to go by, you have less chance of catching this virus from a previously infected individual than from a vaccinated individual, and everybody will at some point be infected. So the only choice we really have is, are we going to be vaccinated when we come into contact with this virus? And that's when, not if.
The findings are from Tel Aviv. They followed over 700,000 people that were broken up into 3 different groups. Those who had recovered from COVID were 13 times less likely to end up reinfected. Conventional science has always held that previous infection results in robust immunity against reinfection from various viruses. However, for some strange politicized reason, for the past year and a half, this scientific fact has been hotly debated. Now, if the entire point of the mass vaccination campaign is to get upwards of 70% of the population immune in order to stop variants from forming, then why are we not rushing to send extra vaccines to the very countries where the variants are emerging from?
I read in a research paper somewhere that those who get the flu shot every year actually fare worse than those who don't. Long term, I mean. I'll see if I can find it and link that study for you to read and interpret for yourself. It's pretty interesting. And in this FDA document on the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, it's showing that for American Indians or Native Alaskans, people who I consider to be genetically similar to me, the efficacy was only 31.7%. Also, I heard a virologist in a podcast make the observation that he had never seen any vaccine perform better than natural immunity.
I just have never seen a vaccine that did better than natural infection. Right? It's just it's not the wild type virus, so you can come close, but
don't get me wrong, if this were Ebola, I'd be first in line for either Moderna or Pfizer. I'm not going to be picky. I'm not trying to encourage anyone to do anything. I think it's a roll of the dice either way, no matter what we decide to do. It's just, which risk are you more willing to take? And honestly, the odds are better for you if you take the vaccine, any of them. I'm just an oddball, but it is a personal choice and should not be mandated, because my choice to not get vaccinated doesn't impact you, it impacts me. Your choice to not get vaccinated impacts you. So that's the good news, is that we each control our own risk level in that sense. My body, my choice. I'm still a leftist in that regard. All you have to do is look at Israel to see that vaccination doesn't eliminate spread. I should mention that my son, who just started kindergarten, got all his vaccines on schedule. The MMR, whooping cough, polio, Hep A, Hep B, chicken pox, all of them, for what it's worth. And when Novavax becomes available, I'll be rolling out my sleeves for that one. People throw around the term anti-vaxxer like it has a very clear definition and meaning, and that political affiliation can even be inferred from that. Well, I feel politically homeless. I'm pro-science, pro-data, and pro-free speech. That is the most right-wing thing about me. I think open dialogue is a good thing, and censorship is bad, and authoritarianism is bad, and those are the two key things that have pushed me to the other side of the political aisle. To me, the country doesn't look to be divided between left and right anymore. It seems to be divided between people who question everything and people who question nothing. Incidentally, my son, on the second day of school, complained of a sore throat. He said his uvula hurt because he learned the name of the thing in the back of the throat. Then the following 2 days, he had a low-grade fever and then a runny nose after that. And when he fully recovered, that was when I started to develop a scratchy throat for a couple days, followed by a runny nose just like he had. Today is my 5th day of symptoms, mild symptoms. I had white tea earlier, so that cleared me up a bit. I don't know if the symptoms are going to continue tomorrow, but if they do, I might just go get tested, because it would be good to know. See, for me, I don't typically have symptoms that last 5 days. Most illnesses I recover from within 2 days, even the worst ones that keep me in bed all day. So that's the one thing that I would say seems a little bit unusual this time. I was tested 11 days after symptom onset, and that would put me right about here.